So it's become fashionable to suggest to young boys that they should be this extreme, stereotyped version of masculinity. It's kind of like what you think masculinity is if you're 10 and don't have a dad and have only had women around you. Andrew Tate, classic example. I think personally he's using this. It's very, very immature, very, very arrested development. Andrew Tate, to me, if you hear his story of his childhood, a lot of trauma, particularly from his dad, a lot of difficult experiences. And, you know, maybe it's all an act, but I think some of that trauma is genuine. The alpha male, the hyper masculine, lacking any kind of nurturing qualities, treating women as sex objects, ready to fight with their fists and not their minds. Yeah. Gotta be rich. It's kind of like rappers, you know, with the bling, with the ice. It's like, this is your values, really? This isn't Western values. This is hyper-materialism. It's a very immature version of Western values. Very immature. Where does it come from? Well, it comes from the idea of masculinity has generally just been made bad, right? So if you make the idea of masculinity totally bad, people don't know what it is. People are confused. Men on advertisements, on films, anything coming out of fucking Disney or Hollywood, it's just ridiculing men. Men are either bad or sort of stupid, blundering around, idiotic, women having to tell them what to do, to treat them like children. Given that most school teachers are women, okay, particularly at younger ages, and 50% of marriages end in divorce now in the UK and the US, and of those, the majority happen during the children's upbringing, and nearly all of them, the women keeps the children, rightly or wrongly, not always rightly. And given that context, a lot of people just don't know what masculinity is. It's not in the media. It's not in their families, perhaps. They're not seeing it in the day. So if you don't know what masculinity is, you go, well, it's got to be this stereotyped version. Like, let's take gangster rap culture, right? Again, hyper masculine, kind of macho, alpha kind of culture. Where did that come from? Families about dads. Yeah? Families about dads. That's where that came from. It wasn't the original hip hop. Thomas Sowell, Black American historian, economist, worth looking up on this, Sowell. Excellent on this topic. So that macho-ness was the imagined masculine. It's like, I think men are like this. I don't really know any, I'm not really around any, but I think they're like this. So if you don't really know what strength is, it's performative, it's puffing yourself up because you don't want to make yourself small, because you're scared. Because you're scared, you puff yourself up. Yeah? You brag a lot. No humility. Humility was always one of in the West had knights. The West concept has always been the gentleman, the civilized savage. Yeah? And this, by the way, this is actually what women want. All women's romance novels, Peterson points this out, are about civilized savages. They're not killers, they're ex-killers. They're not gangsters, they're the nice gangsters. They're pirates, but the nice ones. Right? Vampires, the Twilight series, but the nice ones. Women want both things. It's a tough gig if being a woman, I think, wanting both things. But that's always been the ideal, as the knight who was spiritual, who was under love. I think it was what Francis Bacon said, martial men are given to love. You'll see the image of the knight kneeling before the beautiful woman. Men kneel when they ask someone's hand in marriage. They humble themselves for love. And they also kneel to the king, so they're part of an order, a system. Not the literal king, perhaps, not today, but that kneeling is a humbling of oneself to greater authority than oneself, not just, I'm a tough guy, I'm an alpha. What's a tough guy against an army? Against a nation? What is a tough guy? Not much, right? Not much. And also the knight would bow before the cross. Okay, of course, Jewish and Islamic equivalents. Jews don't bow, but the same sense of reverence, humility. There's something bigger than oneself, right? So yes, you were a knight, you were strong, you were macho, nothing more macho than these the badass killers that train their whole life to be combative, samurai knights, whatever. But there was under something, under the state and law, in the Western tradition, not so much, under aesthetics, under beauty, under love, and under religion, under spirituality. So that's a very different masculine ideal, isn't it? It's the civilized man. It's the savage. In some ways, this is the sort of Anglo-Saxon edge we walk. The British, on the one hand, we're very civilized. On the other hand, we're fucking football hooligans. Both of those things are very much in the British nature. And you'll see more savage in some cultures and more civil in others. That British combination, though, was very successful over the years. The West generally, one could say, but Britain in particular. That combination of be dangerous, but be civilized. Be controlled, be self-controlled. The martial arts teacher that's dangerous but doesn't have to use it. I've met a lot of really tough guy martial arts teachers, and they're all really nice guys, They don't have to be, they're not boisterous, they're not boastful, they're not braggadocious, they're not bullies. Just simple, humble people that if need to, they can get it out. Yeah. So the alpha or the sigma, independent, the sigma god is supposed to be independent, don't need anyone. Men have always existed in communities. Men have always had value in bringing the hunt back to the tribe. Yeah, men have had value in what they give to the tribe. You see, listening to a lot of tribal societies, look at anthropology. Someone hunts, and then they're not the big hero. They don't want to boost their ego. They give the meat away. That's what they do. Sometimes they're even insulted as they give the meat away to keep their ego in check. So interesting stuff in anthropology about this. What I would say is, though, there are features of masculinity that you will find relatively cross-culturally. I look at a warrior picture from samurai medieval Japan, and it's still recognizably warrior. You look at the virtues of the samurai, they cross over a lot. We'd say the code of chivalry of knights, for example. And I'm sure an expert on Zulus or Cherokee or whatever would say, similar things. There's a recognition of many warrior qualities. King qualities, of course, the other sides of it. Classically in men's work, it's 4 archetypes. I've seen 8 archetype models as well, not just warrior. So yeah, being an alpha male, these muscles, this is the least important kind of strength I have. I have some physical strength, right? It's not bad. It's a good thing to develop. It's the least important kind of strength I have. Alpha male, hyper dominant, non-cooperative, lacking nurturance. Sort of things like Andrew Tate saying he doesn't cuddle, fucks these women and doesn't cuddle them. What are you doing, man? You're missing out. You're missing out if you're not cuddling. Some intimacy. God, sort your trauma out, mate. Sort your trauma out. Yeah. The sigma is the traumatized lone individual. Also, there's the psychopath. Not good. Not a good role model. Not a good role model. But people are drawn to these sort of alpha models because they don't, as I said, they don't know what masculinity is. So they're drawn to it in the absence of a real view of what it is. And, there's something in it. The idea of striving for success and it not being bad to be male, of course. Of course. It's going from one extreme to the other, It's funny, the people in England today would say I was pretty alpha in many ways. I just laugh at that. That's not our role models. So there you go. Should you be an alpha or sigma male? I would say no. I would say it's not healthy as it's portrayed. Should you be competitive? Should you understand there are dominance hierarchies? Yes. Should you learn to fight? Absolutely. I think every man should, maybe every person. Yeah. Should you be humble though? Yes. Should you be sensitive? Yes. Should you be nurturing? Of course. I mean, fatherhood is what we're made for, So, there's a few rambling thoughts.